Hello there everyone, welcome to another video on the channel, and welcome to a video where we're going to explore why we no longer get the longer daily races in Gran Turismo 7 Sport Mode that we used to. The last one being in October 2024 when we went to Spa-Francorchamps in the Group 2 cars for 24 laps. Nearly a year ago since we had one of these longer daily races. Now, the main reason that we probably don't get these longer races anymore is purely down to player numbers and the amount of participation that probably takes place within these races, and I'm going to use another game to prove that point. But for those that don't know, most daily races are around about 20 minutes, 18 to 20 minutes, Group 3, Group 4 in general, but on occasion PD would hit their kind of creativity button, or let's do something a little bit different button, and give us a daily race that was a little bit longer, usually between 40 to 45 minutes. And I was a big fan of these races. I know a lot of other people did like these races as well, because it put a little bit more of an emphasis on consistency, racecraft, strategy, rather than just pure outright speed, which tends to be the way in the kind of more chaotic 20-minute sprint races that we kind of normally get. However, the evidence does suggest that majority of people probably don't really like these kind of longer races, whether that's because they're a little bit more complicated, they just like things being simple sprint races, don't have to worry about pit stops, tyre wear, fuel wear, strategy, etc. Or whether it's just a time commitment thing. We are going to use another game to kind of prove that point, and that other game is going to be Le Mans Ultimate. So what you are looking at here is the kind of pre-race screen in Le Mans Ultimate for one of their daily races, and we can pick up a couple of interesting data points from this game that kind of emphasises and shows us that simple sprint races, 20 minutes in length, are much more popular than longer races that require a little bit of commitment and require maybe things that are a little bit more complicated to manage in terms of things like maybe pit stops, weather, fuel wear and tyre wear. So the daily races are split into 6 in Le Mans Ultimate. You have 2 rookie races, 2 intermediate and 2 expert. Now if you look up there at the red arrow, you can see we have 532 people have entered this LMGT3 fixed race, which is one of the beginner races, which is 20 minutes long. So quite decent numbers, a very, very simple sprint race. If we take a look at the next of the rookie races in Le Mans Ultimate, we have the GTE cars at Sebring School Circuit, and we have 296 people that have entered this one. Now these screenshots are all taken around about between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the evening for each of the races, in order to get a decent reference of how many people were entering these races. So pretty decent numbers in the 2 rookie class races. Let's move on to the first of the intermediate races. Now this one is 35 minutes, and to be honest with you, not the simplest of races in the world, but there is some weather involved in this one. But you can see there is a dramatic reduction in the number of people who enter a race like this, and this is actually higher than normal for a race like this, due to what I would say is the Spa-Francorchamps effect. But this one has got weather, it's got multi-class, but you can see a significant drop off in the number of people that entered that race. Moving on to the next of the intermediate races for the week that we're looking at here in Le Mans Ultimate, and it is the WEC Experience fixed at Interlagos with GT3 cars and hypercars. And you can see, even though it's a 40-minute race with no strategy, there's nothing complicated about this race, it's just quite a long one. We only have 91 people that have entered this race. Now I will add that Interlagos is a DLC track, whereas every other track we're looking at is in the vanilla version of the game. Possibly a reason as to why that number is so low. And then we're going to move on to the Super 60 series. This is the longest of the daily races in Le Mans Ultimate. 60 minutes, usually involves a pit stop, GT3 cars and hypercars, and we're at Monza for this one, and you can see 140 people have entered the race here. So you can see there is a direct correlation between how long a race is and the number of people who enter that race. It is dramatically lower the longer the race gets on. kind of proven, even in a sim, like what would be classed as a hardcore sim, that quick, dirty, simple races are much more popular than long races. We do have another data point to look at as well. We can look at the leaderboards for each race, and this records everyone that sets a lap time within the race. So looking at the Bahrain race, the most popular race where 500 people entered, we have nearly 15,000 people that set a lap time. Moving on to the GTE race, the other beginner race, the next most simple race, we have nearly 10,000 people that have set a lap time in that one. Moving on to the first of the intermediate races at Spa with the LMP2s and the GT3s, the 35-minute race with the weather, and we have 5,500 people have set a lap time in this one. I would say that that number is actually quite high for a race of that kind of setup. Again, I think the Spa effect has taken place there. You'll see as we move into the other kind of races of a sort of similar distance that number drops off quite dramatically compared to the sprint races at the rookie level. So Portimao here, we never actually looked at this one in the first data point, but 40-minute race, sprint race, no pit stop required. In fact, there might have been a pit stop required in this one, but regardless, you can see 2,750 people have set a lap time within the race, and that's so quite a low number, to be perfectly honest with you. Kind of surprised me. This data has just become available in Le Mans Ultimate. The leaderboards have not actually been working properly up until this point. I think they did work and then they stopped working, and they've just kind of started working again. Moving on to the Super 60 series, that's the 60-minute race at Monza with the hypercars and the GT3 cars. 2,320 people have completed a lap time in that one. So you can see the longer races have a dramatic drop-off in the number of people who enter them and race them, suggesting that people are much more comfortable, much more likely to race in quick and simple sprint races. Finally, we take a look at Interlagos here, the lowest of the numbers in these races on this data point, with 1,825 people entering a race and completing a lap. So again, as I said, you can just see there is a correlation there between the longer races having significantly less people entering and racing compared to the quick, easy, simple kind of sprint races that you get at rookie level. And you see even in the rookie races that a lot of Silver 1, Silver 2 and even Silver 3 drivers will enter into those races, even though they're meant to be the kind of beginner races. So what I'm trying to really get to the point of here is that if in a kind of sim orientated, a much more kind of sim orientated racing game like Le Mans Ultimate, you can see that most people are actually more likely to race in quick sprint races. Then it stands to reason that that kind of attitude would be present in something like Gran Turismo 7, which has a much more kind of casual player base. Obviously, you know, there is people here that are proper sim racers in Gran Turismo 7, but in general the player base would be considered casual. But I think that kind of highlights the point and probably explains the reason as to why these longer races have disappeared from sport mode in Gran Turismo 7. Now, I'm not saying that is an excuse for PD. We've obviously for a long time, and others have as well, talked about implementing a daily race D that's a little bit longer and features the dynamic weather and strategy and is kind of more orientated towards people who want to kind of take the game a little bit more seriously. But PD seem very much hell-bent on just maintaining the free daily races for whatever reason that is. Now, people do talk about them having server issues or they don't have the servers, but the fact is that when the GTWS races are running, the daily races are running at the same time, and we've not had a GTWS season for about 3 months now, so we know they can run 4 races or 5 races at the same time on the servers. But yeah, they seem very much hell-bent on just maintaining the daily race A, B and C, and if the data shows that people don't enter these longer races, then it stands to good reason that they're going to revert back to things that do get people racing. And the evidence, as hopefully demonstrated looking at Le Mans Ultimate numbers, shows that quick, simple sprint races are way more popular than longer races. But yeah, a quick look at why I think, and I think everybody kind of knew anyway, but I kind of wanted to sort of show that it's, you know, show some conclusive evidence, if you like, that longer races just aren't as popular as shorter races. But a quick look at why I think the longer races have disappeared in Gran Turismo 7 and are very unlikely to come back. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye, folks.